Well, it looks like it's improving. The state lost a huge amount of jobs from February to April of last year, and we've gradually been adding them back. As of July of this year, Arizona has replaced 97% of the jobs that we lost during those initial months of the pandemic. It's much better than the national economy, which has replaced about 75% of the jobs lost during those early months of the pandemic. Across industries, it's still, leisure and hospitality, the travel and tourism jobs, and local government jobs are still lagging significantly below where they were before the pandemic began.
So with a 97% replacement in the number of jobs, at least, are people just going to different industries? Because we hear over and over that, for example, as you mentioned, the service industry, restaurants, hotels, et cetera, are really still lacking personnel.
Yep, people are, at least to some extent, switching industries. Most sectors of the state economy are still below where they were in terms of employment before the pandemic began. There are now two exceptions. One is financial activities. So real estate brokers, real estate agents, bankers, tellers, those financial activities are now basically back to where they were before the pandemic began. Really, the one sector that's really stood out in terms of job growth, even during the pandemic, was transportation and warehousing. So, warehouse jobs and delivery jobs really took off during the pandemic, and that reflects the shift to online shopping and delivery services.
The federal tax credit rollout has begun. Are you seeing any measurable impacts to families here in the state of Arizona?
Monthly payments related to the child tax credit, those began in July. And that is, contributing to the to household incomes and household spending nationwide and here in Arizona. What you want to keep in mind is that during 2020 and early 2021, there was just an incredible infusion of federal income support flowing throughout the nation and into Arizona, and that is starting to dissipate. We're seeing the unemployment insurance benefits rapidly decline. We'll see those drop nationwide as we go through September.
The housing market is facing unprecedented growth. What is your reaction to what is happening?
Yeah, we really are seeing a really hot housing market with really rapidly growing house prices. Over the year gains in house prices in Phoenix and Tucson were in the neighborhood of 30% in June and July. So very rapid increases. And there's a number of factors driving that. Some of them are on the demand side. We're likely seeing increased migration to Arizona as remote workers, particularly those in the high-cost Western metropolitan areas, look for lower-cost areas to live, and certainly that's Arizona. But we're also seeing supply-side factors. So housing inventory is very low and declined during the pandemic. Looks like that may be starting to turn the corner a little bit, and we'll see some increased housing inventory going forward. In terms of new housing construction, the input prices for things like lumber, copper, plastics, drywall prices are still rising really rapidly. That's putting upward pressure on new home prices, and that's translating into upward pressure on existing home prices and even on rent.
How sustainable do you think this will be? Because I know already people are saying it looks like I will never be able to afford a house. And these are people with educations and decent salaries.
The increases in home prices, I think, are temporary. I think it's connected. What we're seeing with input prices for new construction, that's probably temporary, related to supply chains getting back to normal. There are some labor shortages that I think are short-lived. I think the demand pressure is also short-lived. Those remote workers that are kind of reallocating across the U.S. That's something that will last for the next year or so, and then population growth will get back to something more normal.
George Hammond, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.